Okay, so today we're going to solve multiple steps inequalities. So we can tell that this is inequality because it has this inequality sign right over here. And the nice part about inequalities are they're solved almost exactly the same way as an equation. And so we're going to do our normal way of solving this like we would an equation. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract the 7 to move it to the other side. I'm going to 5, 6 plus 3r is greater than or equal to 120. Now we have a couple different options. You could distribute the 5 to both numbers, or you could undo the distribution by dividing both sides by 5. So I'm going to divide both sides by 5. Those cancel. 120 divided by 5 would be 24. So now I have this. Whoops, need an r in there. Then I'm going to subtract 6. Subtract 6. I'm going to get that 3r is greater than or equal to 18. Divide by 3, divide by 3. And r would be greater than or equal to 6. And that's what I would get as my final answer. So again, these are solved almost exactly the same way as multi-step equation. The only thing that I have to keep track of is which way the sign is facing. And the sign faces the same way unless I divide or multiply by a negative number. Let's try one more example. Okay, so here's our second example. And this thing is very, very similar. The only difference is now we have variables on both sides. So whenever you have variables on both sides, we're going to simplify each side, and then we'll work with everything else. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to simplify this side. And I can see that negative 5n, negative 6n will give me a total of negative 11n. And then when I simplify this side, I'll have 8 minus 9n, because 8n and negative 1n will give me negative 9n. Now we just have to solve everything and get things by itself. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 9n to both sides. That'll cancel that out. And I'll have negative 2n is less than or equal to 8. The next step that I'll take is I'll divide by negative 2. I'll divide by negative 2. And as soon as I divide by a negative number, so because that's negative, as soon as I divide by it, this sign right here is going to flip. So my answer would become n is greater than or equal to negative 4. Okay. So essentially we solve these the exact same way as equations. We are going to try to get the variables by itself. And after we get those variables by itself, we are done. The only difference is we have to make sure that when we divide by a negative number, this sign is going to flip. So try some of these problems.